All right, let's dive right into a paper that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction. It asked this really wild question. What if you could treat an AI's ability to reason like a file you can just copy and paste?
Now seriously, just think about that for a second. Instead of spending months and millions of dollars on training, what if you could just give a basic AI a reasoning upgrade in a flash? It's a crazy idea, right? Well, it might be a lot closer to reality than you think.
So here's the deal. We all know large language models are amazing sponges for information. You can ask them about facts, figures, you name it. But teaching them how to solve a multi-step problem to actually think logically from point A to point B, well, that is a whole different beast. It takes a ton of time, a ton of money, and it's just incredibly difficult to get right.
And this is where things get really cool. A team of researchers figured out a way to actually isolate the skill of reasoning itself. They found a way to sort of bottle it up into something they're calling a reasoning vector.
Okay, so what in the world is a reasoning vector? You know how an AI's brain is basically just a giant web of numbers, right? We call them parameters. Well, a reasoning vector is just a very specific chunk of those numbers that represents one thing and one thing only, the model's ability to reason. And the wildest part? The way they get it is with some shockingly simple math. So how on earth do they cook this thing up? The method is actually pretty genius, and it all comes down to the ingredients you start with.
The recipe starts with two AI models. Now, they both come from the exact same base model, so they have the same foundation. But then they're trained for different jobs. The first one, the SFT model, is fine-tuned to be super factually accurate. Think of it like a librarian. The second one, the GPO model, gets put through this advanced training to become an expert at reasoning. It's the logician.
And this is where the magic happens. You take the logician, the powerful reasoning model, and you literally just subtract the librarian, the fact-based model. And because they both started from the same place, pretty much the only thing that's left over after the subtraction is the pure skill of reasoning. That leftover bit becomes our reasoning vector. And then you can just take that vector and add it to a completely different model, kind of like a power-up.
So let's just break that down into 3 super simple steps. It's like a skill transplant. First, you extract the vector. You just subtract the parameters of the librarian model from the logician model. Second, you transfer it. You add that new reasoning vector to the model you want to upgrade. And finally, step 3, you activate it. Often, all it takes is a simple prompt like think step by step to tell the model, hey, use that new skill you've got.
Okay, so the theory is elegant, it's clever, but let's get to the real question. Does this thing actually work? Well, let's take a look at the data.
And the results, well, they really do speak for themselves. This chart here shows how the model performed on a set of grade school math problems. The blue bar is the baseline model, chugging along. The orange bar is after we just had the vector. Boom! An instant performance jump. And then the green bar, when you also tell it to think step by step. Another big jump. The upgrade is totally real and it's measurable.
And this is where it gets really impressive. On a benchmark called Big Bench Hard, which is a collection of problems specifically designed to be super tough for AI, adding the vector gave the model a massive 12.3 percentage point boost. It basically went from guessing to actually having a real, solid reasoning ability. That's a huge deal.
Now this is where the researchers did something even more clever. They asked, okay, if adding the vector gives a model a skill, what happens if you do the opposite? What if you take it away?
The result? An absolute catastrophic failure. When they subtracted the reasoning vector from a model, its performance on those math problems completely plummeted by almost 12%. It made the model significantly worse than it was to begin with. And that right there is the ultimate proof. This vector isn't just some helpful add-on, it truly seems to contain the essence of the reasoning skill itself.
So, what's the big picture here? What does this all mean for the future of AI? Well, the implications are absolutely huge. This isn't just some neat little party trick. It suggests a fundamental shift in how we can think about building and improving artificial intelligence.
So let's break down why this changes everything. First, it shows that reasoning can be modular. You can treat it like a plug-and-play component, a Lego brick you can just snap onto another model. This democratizes AI in a huge way, because you don't need a national lab supercomputer to give your model better skills. It also lets us recycle effort. All that insane computational work that went into training open source models, we can now reuse and build upon it. And maybe the most mind-bending part is that these skills generalize. They found that a vector derived from math skills could improve a model's ability to write code. And finally, the whole process is incredibly lightweight and fast. We're talking about an upgrade that takes seconds, not the weeks or months it takes for retraining. This could fundamentally change the game.
Unfortunately, this copy-paste method does not work on human brains, yet. But if you do want to upgrade your feed with more explainers that break down awesome ideas just like this one, you should absolutely subscribe to our channel VibeDoc.
And that leaves us with one last really big thought to chew on. If reasoning is a skill we can literally extract and transfer, what's next? Could we one day do the same for creativity, for humor? What about for something as complex as empathy? The possibilities are as exciting as they are profound. Thanks for tuning in.